Yeah, we've talked about MrBeast before, and this cast member on his channel, Kris Tyson, a longtime friend of his. And this person came out as transgender a couple of years ago, got a lot of press for it. I had never heard of this person before that happened, but it caused a huge controversy because obviously a lot of children watch MrBeast, and a lot of parents decided to bar their children from watching the channel anymore due to Kris Tyson's presence in the videos. And I understand that you gotta draw those boundaries. I think it was probably confusing for children to see that happen in real time. But since then, Kris Tyson has first of all changed the spelling of Kris with a CH to Kris with a K, and then added a new first name. So this person is now known as Ava Kris Tyson, a MrBeast contributor. Still in MrBeast videos, just not as frequently as he used to be. But recently, I don't know how far I should get into this. A former Twitch streamer called Dr. Disrespect was recently under allegations of pedophilia, if I can even say that word on YouTube. And in response, Nickmercs posted a video saying, I don't know if I should believe the allegations, you know, something like innocent until proven guilty. We don't know if any of this is true or false. And he just said these accusations are crazy. Ava Kris Tyson reposted part of that video in which Nickmercs was talking about people with pronouns in bio and captioned it, "Me every time I post on Twitter." Nickmercs responded to that tweet and said, "You should be ashamed of yourself, leaving behind your wife and child to play pretend. One day you'll wake up and realize what you've done." And after Father's Day, this was especially poignant because it's true. Kris Tyson is a father and, you know, ended up getting a divorce from his wife and transitioned promptly after the fact. And a lot of people said that that was pathetic behavior, and he essentially gave up what a lot of men, you know, really wish they could have, which is this idyllic family life, to go and search for an identity that he found on the internet. And I agree with that sentiment personally. But for the most part, the backlash was about Kris Tyson remaining a, you know, side character, sidekick on the MrBeast channel because he's so popular with kids. And that's, I think, what everyone can get behind. But in response to this, MrBeast defended Kris Tyson, saying Ava is literally always with her kid and doesn't even go on shoots to spend more time with him. Tuckman, the child's name is Tucker, is always smiling. Not sure why this rumor is a thing. And in response to that tweet, Sneeko said, "You're one of the most influential people in the world now, Jimmy. Stop pretending like this perversion is normal. You can literally save thousands of kids' lives." And the general sentiment is just that, you know, this is a bad influence for the kids watching. And the less they are exposed to gender ideology, the better, I would say. Especially, you know, as we were just talking about, parents need to vet what their kids are watching.
Is it possible that MrBeast would have possibly said, like, maybe go on less shoots to avoid the backlash?
Yeah, we were talking about it just from a marketing perspective.
It's a lose-lose for MrBeast.
Right, like, because he has to come out and support or he's going to get canceled. But at the same time, he's going to be losing a huge portion of his audience if parents decide that they're not okay with this. So he was between a rock and a hard place and decided to toe the line. He decided to be supportive of this new identity that his friend took on. And Ava Kris Tyson said, "They just want to villainize trans people. When they realize and accept that I'm in his life, arguably more than most parents are able to be, they'll say I'll ruin him or far worse things. They don't actually care. They want to move the goalposts so they can go, see, trans people are bad." But I think most people were just saying, like, your kid needs a father figure and you've just taken that away from your kid. And more than that, I remember Kris Tyson posting a video of his child as a 2-year-old or 3-year-old wearing, like, with high heels strapped on his feet. And he captioned it like Tucker is slaying or some shit like that. Like, clearly you are trying to push something. And that was just very nefarious.
Because he's probably gotten a ton of attention for it.
Yeah. So. Like, more attention than he's ever gotten. My theory on the whole thing was that Kris Tyson was, you know, growing his career on the coattails of a male friend of his who is much more influential and successful than him, gave him a complex, and he decided that in order to differentiate himself and feel special and celebrated, that he needed to latch onto some kind of gender identity. And that seems to have worked out.
You think stuff like this is going to become even more common, especially in the social media age?
I mean,
I don't see this.
It is.
I don't see this going away.
It's undeniably.
Yeah.
It's undeniably already happening. It's been happening for years. Yep. But like, that was just my like psychoanalysis of what was happening there, because he got some kind of inferiority complex toward MrBeast.
It really was like the ultimate lose-lose for MrBeast, who had built a brand that was largely as normie as it could get. And that is, it went from normie to perhaps the most hot button culture war issue there is in no time, which gives him no way of pushing back in a way that won't hurt his business.
Right.
And he's not an ideological person, even if he disagrees with what's going on. Again, I'm going to take him at his word and say that he doesn't, but I'm saying even if he did, he's going to put his business first, and most people would, right? He has hundreds of millions. I think he's now the most subscribed channel on YouTube. I think he passed, what is it?
T-Series?
T-Series.
Oh, okay.
He's going to put his business first. He employs a lot of people, right? And he's not going to throw that away on the culture war that he doesn't care about. For the people in this space that do care about the culture war, that do feel that these things affect future generations, that's one thing. But for somebody who doesn't exist in that space and probably doesn't even give it that deep a thought beyond just what it's going to mean for his business, I don't think he had any other response that wasn't going to hurt him.
But the unfortunate reality is, even if you want to be known for your business and you want to be known for your philanthropy, in MrBeast's case, and you don't want to be involved in the culture war, you're going to get dragged into it anyway. So you might as well pick the side that you really feel aligns with your conscience. And that's what he did. But I just think it's really disingenuous to say that the internet is dragging Kris Tyson's son into this controversy when, you know, he was the one who decided to publicize this, right? Like, he was the one who decided to put his family out there in the public eye and also draw all of this attention to himself when he announced his transition. But now Katie, his ex-wife and the mother of his child, has put out a statement. Katie is really upset with how her and her son are being talked about by other creators, mentions that they are trying to live private lives. She says both her and her son are living happy and healthy lives, despite what some creators are claiming. Additionally, she's asking creators to think twice before dragging her kid into online discourse. She also questions if Nickmercs is setting a good example for kids via bashing others over differences in their views. And Ava Tyson put out a statement saying, trans people can be great parents. Them and their ex-partners can have cordial and healthy co-parenting relationships, and anyone who throws a child into internet drama doesn't give an F about, quote, saving the kids, which is ironic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I see these horror stories from like anonymous Reddit posts, like women who say they were essentially widowed by husbands who transitioned.
Yeah. It's like almost scary.
It's terrifying. I would never want to be in that situation. But think about it. If Katie, his ex-wife, ever said anything but the most glowing review of Kris Tyson as a co-parent and as a person, she would get dragged, and her family would get dragged even more than they are.
Everyone that isn't, literally everyone is left with a no-win situation here.
Right.
Except for Kris Tyson.
Honestly, it's just emotional terrorism. Yeah. That's what it feels like, is like you're forcing people to comply with your narcissism.
Yeah.
They have no other choice.
The real long-term victims are the kids too, because people on the internet will forget and they'll move on. But those kids, eventually are going to start asking, like, how do I have two moms? You
Right.
know, like the
it's
kids are the real
confusing
victims.
for the kid in that family situation and for the kids who are watching this happen on YouTube videos that their parents don't know about. But the most ironic part of it is that Kris Tyson had a reputation for being edgy and making all of these edgy jokes about like identifying as an attack helicopter, and he had all of these problematic tweets that came out after he transitioned, where he was like using the slur for trans people that I can't say. And you know, there was this one that got reposted recently saying saying about Islam, it's an old ass backwards religion that hates anything different and treats women like shit. Why the F do people still accept it? Why does anyone take Islam seriously? And then that infamous post, when you're hitting it from behind and she says Hitler did nothing wrong. And now you're trying to tone police other people now that it's no longer socially acceptable to have edgy senses of humor. Like, that's, I think, the worst part of it all. And also, allegedly, Kris Tyson owned a lolicon art piece drawn by prolific child enjoyer Shadman. That doesn't really get brought up.
No, I mean, I did see people mentioning that in these threads.
Yeah, we talked about that originally
did.
when Kris Tyson was in the news, but you know, people forget, and then you just come out as trans and no one can talk about any of your personality flaws anymore. I mean, no one can criticize you.
It feels
it's the ultimate human shield.
It feels that way, right? They found the ultimate way to make sure that nothing you've ever done is brought up against you because the social, social repercussions will be too high.
Caitlyn Jenner literally killed people with her car. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I mean,
she was Woman of the Year.
It's not even like I think someone should be canceled and dragged online for making edgy tweets 10 years ago. Nope. But what I am saying is it's incredibly hypocritical to do that and then totally flip the script on everyone and act like you're the virtuous, accepting, tolerant one. Once the times have changed and once the culture has shifted. Now you're just doing what's trendy and you're using your identity as a shield for criticism. And also basically using your kid as a shield from criticism.
That's the other part there. That's the other part is that what people are doing is they're pointing out how your decisions may end up affecting your children, but then you're not allowed to talk about it. How dare you
bring up my child? Like, okay, you were the one who entered into this culture war conversation.
Right, the math isn't mathing.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.